Hello everyone, welcome back to subscribers and welcome back if you're or welcome to my channel if you're a new user that hasn't viewed my channel yet. I have a lot of great tutorials up for a bunch of different open source and self-hosted apps, a couple of different OSs and formats, reverse proxies. I handle it all. If it has to do with tech, I'm usually following or recording on it. So, welcome to my channel. I'm here to talk about PhotoPrism. So again, I made another video about image, and that was a pretty cool video about a Google Photos alternative. Here's another one. Now, I made an image, or I'm sorry, a PhotoPrism video a little bit ago, and this is the next one that I'm making. So I'm kind of making an update to kind of the setup. When I made it, I was kind of newer to Linux, newer to WSL, so the information was correct, but it wasn't very descriptive. It wasn't very in tune with the latest abilities that PhotoPrism has to offer. Again, it was a while ago, too. It was about a year or two ago. So we're going to go into the new information about them. So this is PhotoPrism. They have actually really good docs. It's a Google Photos alternative. Basically, the way you can view your photos, sync them, and show them to family members or friends, or even share your beloved memories from weddings. If you're a wedding photographer, there's a lot of cool things you can do with this client. We're gonna first off need three major things. So you're gonna have to have WSL installed. I have a great video, great information on my docs on how to install a Docker desktop. You're gonna need Docker as well, which handles WSL. This is on my doc sites. The main one's called Docker Desktop Install. We obviously have enabling the Windows features, and then that's installing WSL, setting up WSL2, which is adding a repo of Ubuntu 22.04 or whatever the latest Ubuntu is that is available on your system, and then installing and set up Docker Desktop with some extra steps if you want to limit the RAM or whatever. So this is all up on here. I'll list that in the description. But let's get started with setting up Docker. So we first need to open up a file directory. We're going to open up this out. I don't need that. We're going to open up a file directory. I like to stick all of my self-hosted tools in our tools folder. So again, that's local disk C and in tools. And I'm just going to make another one, a new one set up just for kicks and giggles. And it's going to be called PhotoPrism. I'm going to do YT. You can just name yours PhotoPrism. This is just going to hold our Docker Compose file, what runs the actual app. So we're going to make a new document. I always recommend using Sublime or Notepad++. Using Notepad, for example, I've noticed a lot of people have an issue with this where they name the wrong file type. Just better to do a Sublime text document, so I'm going to do that. And we're just going to Control A to select it all and type docker-compose.yml. And we're going to click, do we want to change it? We're going to click yes. Open that up in our editor, and we're going to add a couple of key things. So you can obviously download their Docker Compose using this link on their doc site, which I'll also include in the description, or you can actually just click on this right here. I'm on Windows, so obviously this knows I'm using WSL. So we're going to click on this, and it's going to load up this. We're just going to select Control A to copy it all and Control C to copy it, and we're going to paste it in here. Now, a couple things to note with this, we're going to have to edit a couple things. So I'll go over all those things right now. Obviously, the service, this is PhotoPrism. This is just the app that's running inside the Docker container. This is going to give us the latest PhotoPrism repo. So if you ever need to update it, I'll show that later in the video. We'll leave these two alone. These are needed. We need to obviously link our MariaDB directory, which is totally fine. That's going to basically be our database. Security, we don't really need any of this, but it's on there just in case. We can edit this port. So if you want to change a port, let's say you're using port 2342, do not change the second port. You always, when using Docker, change the first port. So let's say I want to make it like, I don't know, 2333, right? Then that will be the port we load for our reverse proxy or our caddy or our local host, like if we're doing it on our browser when we load it. So remember, you can keep it the same. I'm going to change mine to 2333 just for kicks and giggles to show it works. Obviously, if we want to change our admin user, we can change this. I'm just going to change this to Demon Warrior Tech. Photo administrative password, we don't want to make it insecure. We want to make sure there's an admin password. This is very important because if obviously leave it insecure, anyone can log in as the admin. So I'll just name this something very generic, Demon Warrior Tech password. You want to name this specific to your needs. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is very important. You make this something very secure. PhotoPrism auth, obviously you're going to make it passwords. If you're hosting this as like a public site, let's say like for your photos or um, for wedding photos and you want to send links and stuff, I would always recommend making password, unless you're going to just be putting a static site out there, then you can make it public, obviously. PhotoPrism site URL. So if you change the port up here, you want to make that reflect right here. We'll change the port to 23333 because that is our port we have done up here. Um, uh, the PhotoPrism disable TLS. Obviously, we don't need TLS because we're going to be using Caddy, or I will be using Caddy. You can use Nginx or Apache. It's really up to you. Traffica, they all work. So we'll leave this as false because we don't need it to use detect TLS with my version of Caddy that I use. Default TLS is true, meaning it'll use HTTPS certs, meaning like when I load the domain, it'll basically have it show that it's a secure site using our reverse proxy method. We can leave photo originals limit as 5,000. So this is only if you have a high-res video, you would need to upgrade this. So 5,000, this is in megabytes. So if we check that to see how many gigabytes it is, we can just do megabytes to gigabytes. And we'll do 5,000. That's 5 gigabytes. That's not really correct because every 1,024 megabytes, it equals 1 gigabyte. Honestly, don't ever listen to Google. I just pulled out a calculator, so if you really want to figure it out, you do 5,000 times 1024. 1,024 megabits is 1 gigabyte. So that would be, oops, not that. Hold on, we want to do the opposite. 5,000 divided by 1,024. That's about 4.88 gigabytes. So if we have something bigger than 5 gigs, you can raise that a little bit more. I like to keep mine at about 10 gigs because I sometimes have longer videos from family functions, whatever. So it's good to keep them a little bigger. So we can just do that math real quick to figure it out. We do 10 times 1024, and that's 10,240. So to make that 10,240 megabytes, we just change this to 10,240. PhotoPrism HTTP compression, keep that the same, doesn't matter. PhotoPrism debug, obviously this is used if you're troubleshooting and you're on a test environment or whatever. We don't need that, so we can keep that false. PhotoPrism read only, so if you want to do not modify originals, mean they can't, they won't modify the upload and download. When you download the full file, they're not going to change it, so we'll keep that at false because we obviously don't want to disable import and upload. We want to upload and import from our website. PhotoPrism experimental, we don't need this because we're not doing experimental features. That's usually only if you're on like a test or a beta build. That would be important. Disable chown, we can leave this alone because we're not on Linux. Disable WebDAV, you can keep this enabled, but you don't need to. WebDAV is basically like if you're gonna like sync with like a client, we'll just be uploading manually. So I mean, if you want to upload with the WebDAV, if you know what WebDAV is, you can look it up. PhotoPrism disable settings in the UI and API. We obviously don't want to disable settings because that's how we edit things, so that's important. TensorFlow is basically like if you're going to be hardware transcoding, that's an important thing. You can enable it. I'm going to enable it because I like, this one, that's important from hardware transcoder using like face looking, this, oh, I'm sorry, keep this as false because this is actually, so this is, if you read, it says PhotoPrism disable TensorFlow, disables all features. We don't want to disable any of these features because the facial recognition, the TensorFlow classifications, these are all disable vectors. All these will be disabling features. So if you want to disable like albums, you can do that by clicking this false, but all these we'll just leave alone. These are all important features that we probably want in a photo view client or a client that's going to be like Google Photos. So we don't really want to change any of these. To be honest, just these top ones are really important. Backup schedule. This is basically if we want to automatically back it up to a cloud client or to our server. That could be daily, it could be monthly, it could be at a certain time. I'm just going to keep it as daily because that means it'll come probably right at 12 o'clock or 12 a.m. Or for you people that live on military time, 2400. Or zero, I'm sorry, 00000. So auto import. So if we want to add a certain amount of import max that we can upload at a time, I don't really have that restriction because I have a pretty powerful PC. If you have a lower end PC, this will be important to make this smaller, maybe like 500, I don't know, something like 250. Um, detect NSFW. So if you want to detect if someone's uploading like offensive content, like not safe for work content, you can obviously save that and type it as true so it can detect it. PhotoPrism upload NSFW. You can obviously make it so it disables so it can't upload anything NSFW. It automatically scans it. I'm okay with it uploading NSFW, so just click true. If you're on a public site, this would be great to put as false, just as an FYI if you're uploading stuff. Um, Database services are MariaDB. Again, this links back to the MariaDB up here. This is just the port and the local port it runs on. MariaDB always runs on 3306, so that's good. Database name, we'll just leave it as PhotoPrism. That's totally fine. Database password, I'd recommend making a password. Again, you don't have to. I'm going to leave mine insecure because it's going to be deleted after me, but I recommend you put a password in for that. Site caption, this is like what's going to pull up, so I'll just put like, since I'll be using for family memories, our family memories all in one place. And again, this is just what's going to display on the home screen. And if you want to add a description, like you can put like our family, all our precious memories can be here. And this can just be anything you want to say. So like basically, if like someone looks at it, this is what they'll see. Site author, you can put if you're like the author of the site. Let's say it's an art site where you're you're showing off your art. You put like a demon warrior tech. I don't know. Photos. Um, and then this is for our FFmpeg encoder. So if we're using like a NVIDIA GPU, we'll just name it as NVIDIA and PhotoPrism 1920. So if you're using hardware encoding, you can obviously look, here's the encoders for transcoding. You can look and here the different one software is going to use obviously your CPU or the internal computer parts. If you have an Intel GPU like an Intel iGPU or we're using QuickSync or like another Intel GPU like Sparkle, GPU. But I personally have NVIDIA, so I'm going to use that. So we'll just leave NVIDIA there. And you want to remove, let me go back. You want to remove these hash marks. That's basically commenting it out. We want to make sure they're uncommented, or they're, yeah, uncommented, so they show that our NVIDIA is going to use. The MPEG size is 1920. Obviously, we're just going to use, the default is 3840. We can do that actually, 3840. We'll just use that. And our video bitrate default is 50. I like to keep it around 30 to 40, so I'll just put 35. So we'll do 32. The lower bitrate usually is the better, just as an FYI. Our working directory obviously says do not change or remove, so this is needed. This is what's going to be our directory in PhotoPrism. Now the important part, linking our images. So if we're going to, okay, so this is really, really important from a later date. I'm coming back to you because I forgot this in the original. When you're setting up your PhotoPrism, make sure you have set your original's location. So this will be a stock location where all the files will be uploaded. So let's say I want all my directories, my albums, and my files and videos to go to one place and keep in a standard order. So for me, that's J, PhotoPrism, Originals, and it links through this default place in the YAML for the originals. Once you do that, let's say I'm going to upload a file. So if I go back to my default upload and I'm gonna, let's say I want to upload a file, I click on upload and I upload a file. Let's say I upload my banner light. As we see, it's uploading, and once it uploads, fresh. Let's try it again. Let's upload another one here. upload a different file this time. Let's do a fave icon. This is my fave icon. Now if I go back into my directories, go to J, PhotoPrism, Originals, and this is in Demon Warrior Tech YouTube, but that's just 2024 album. As you see, I got my 3 originals, and I'll actually pull it into, instead of details, we'll do small icons. There we go. See, here's my file, and if I click on here, we'll see the same file under info. As you can see, the file name is right here. It's file ending in B718, ending in B718, so we know that file is correct. This is important if you want to keep a correct backup of your files in one location, the actual original images. A link like our pictures. So, for example, I have pictures on my J drive. Open that up. On my J drive, I have Google Photos, and I have, like, let's say Disney World. We'll just do Disney World 2022. Okay, and we'll save this directory. So again, if we're going to put that in, we can just put in our directory. Make sure you have your forward slashes facing like the directory because it's Linux and it doesn't like backslashes. And that's all you really have to do is put it in between, just before the colon. So there's a colon, obviously, PhotoPrism's originals, and then there's there's PhotoPrism's original. You don't want to make anything past the colon. So this is where we'll put our directory. Let's say I have something in C drive. So I'll just put it as, again, if I go into my C drive pictures, let's say I want to go to my graphic design logos, and I want to do my Jellyfin server pictures. Not that, hold on, I think it's one more. This one, nope. Let's find my YouTube videos, actually. I have my YouTube pictures. So if we click on these and we want to do a C drive, we can just do C and remove this if we want to add multiple ones. And obviously now it's part of the C drive. So again, we want to change the forward slashes so they are Linux compatible, because again, we have those backslashes. Linux doesn't like those. And just as an FYI, these quotations are meant to be Windows friendly. So you need these if you have like a space, because Linux doesn't know basically what a space is. It's really weird, but it happens. So these basically prevent the spaces from being an issue on Windows to Linux kind of language. So once we have that, we can just leave that alone. Again, this is our Linux storage. So if we're gonna change this, this is our cache, our database, our sidecar. I usually change this to a folder on my J drive because it's a little bit larger. My C drive is obviously only a couple of, like, I just cleared out a bunch of space, but the C drive is only a couple. Usually you have a limited space. So I like to put on my J drive, and I just make a new folder called PhotoPrism. We'll do that right now. PhotoPrism. Okay. And on that J drive, we will just make one called this. We'll paste our folder in here and make sure we correct the forward slash or backslash for a forward slash. And each folder you add is basically a new mount. So basically, when we add these are basically going to be different directories that we can give people access to. So add as many or as little as you want. Let's say I want to add all my directories in my J drive under Google Photos. Let's say I want to add my image directory. I want to add my Disney World. I don't know. I want to add my Caleb Connor Steven. I mean, you can do anything you want. You can add as many as you want. And the more the merrier, because it's not going to change the way it runs. To be honest, I'm only going to add these 3 for now, but obviously you can add as many as you want. So if you want to add an upload directory, PhotoPrism import, if you want to add a certain directory where all the files go, the originals go, this is a great thing to do. Let's say I want to add a directory where they all sync to the right one. So let's say I just make a new one in my Google Photos called upload. and this is my upload directory. So I'll just do that just to show you how it works. And then you can obviously move or change as you please the files and the folders. Basically, if you're going to upload, one thing I do is I add all my directories. Let's say I separate them by family or by whatever. I can separate them, and then later on add to those specific directories, upload the files to those directories using the PhotoPrism app. But again, this is up to you. I'm going to leave this actually commented out because I want to show how it works with it and how it works without it. Okay. Next is the MariaDB. Obviously, we are going to use the latest MariaDB 11. You can use whichever one you choose. There's 10, I think 8.6. There's a bunch of different versions. We're just going to leave these stock because obviously they have the best in mind to keep which MariaDB we want. Security, we don't need to worry about any of this. Database, don't have to worry about this. This is all just standard stuff. If you want to set a MariaDB password, you can for your MariaDB. Just make sure if you have changed it in the environment variables, you go all the way up to the DB password, let's see, database name, and you change these to reflect it along with the password that you would use for your MariaDB. So these down here, obviously they're named PhotoPrism, and we have it as insecure. If you're going to change those, just make sure reflect it up here in the database password. That's really important, or else it won't link it. This is the last thing, the watchtower. This is if you want to auto pull and update your running of PhotoPrism. Let's say there's a security update or something important. I always like to enable these because if you don't, obviously it can cause issues when you update later. Like let's say like if you want to update manually, you do this. I'll actually show how to do that real quick before I do this. So I'm actually going to disable these because you can enable them, but it's really easy to just run an update real quick if you want to process an update. Obviously, doing updates immediately is not always the safest way because there could be a bad issue with it that you may or may not want to experience. So it's just a good idea to, I think, stay clear from things that are like could affect your daily use of the app. But again, that's up to you. So once we have all of that set up, we're gonna CD into our directory. So I'm gonna go CD tools CD PhotoPrism -YouTube. I spelled something wrong. Let me check something real quick. LS. Let's see, where's PhotoPrism? I have capitals. Okay. Let's do PhotoPrism with capital P and capital YT. Oh, maybe not. Did I misspell photo? Oh, I did misspell. I put it as PhotoPrism. We'll just edit that real quick in my directory. Don't follow bad spelling mistakes like I do. Alright, we'll edit that to be PhotoPrism. There we go. Okay. You can also Control C on the directory and just type in CD and then the information. And if I had a space, I can also do CD and then put the quotations, and it should accept the space, just as an FYI. All right, once we're in here, I'm just going to clear these because I don't want to have anything else up. We're going to do Docker compose up -D. That's going to run the initial setup. Ooh, and it looks like I have an error, so let me check on that. Okay, I think I figured it out. There we go. So make sure if you're adding PhotoPrism FFmpeg or encoding, you make sure that it's lined up with these other environment variables. Otherwise, you'll get an error on line 49. As you can see, now it's running. We'll let that run for a second and we'll come back in a minute. Okay, So we can see it successfully went through, and we'll check our PhotoPrism YouTube app, make sure it's running correctly. To do that, we just go to Docker Desktop, go down to our app, and click on it in the container. You can see when it's running, and as you can see, it's waiting for the database to become available. So we'll see if it goes through. Okay, so mine took a little bit to load. It took about 5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that, between 5 and 8 minutes. This is only for the first time you set it up because it's linking all the databases, selecting all the configurations, setting up the whole back end and front end. So when we do that, as you can see, it started at 1810 and it ended at 1814. So about 5 minutes to 4 minutes, 30 seconds, something like that. Once you see the listening on 2342, we know it worked. We can either click on this to load our localhost and 2333, or we can just go in our browser and type in localhost 2333 or our IP 192.168.1.111 colon 2333, and either one will load it. Just as a note, that if it isn't loading, it might be a firewall issue. So to do that, you just need to add a rule on inbound rules. I have this again in my doc site. You can look under troubleshooting and allowing app through firewall. It's really in depth, so it's very easy for you to do. I also think I have a video on one of them showing this, but just in case you didn't know. So once we're loaded to this login screen, we can type in our username. If you don't remember, this is going to be our administrative username. So admin password and admin user. So we're going to go to our admin user and type this in. And our admin password, we can copy and paste. Make sure there's no spelling errors. And log in. And once we're signed in, it'll say no pictures. That's totally fine. We're going to click on this little arrow to bring out the screen to view our options. Go into libraries, and we're going to click on scan, complete scan, and then we can do like all originals or family to figure out what those are. We just go into our config, and we can look. As you can see, we have a directory called family. This is the PhotoPrism originals. We can, one thing to note, if we're making a directory, let's say I want to make our Google Photos, we don't want to name it originals, we want to name it, I don't know, Disney World 2022. Save that. We can scan it then, or we can restart it. So to do that, we just do Docker compose restart. That'll restart the Docker compose. As you can see, it's restarting in here in our logs. By the way, I had to save this first. I just did Control S to save it. Just name this YouTube. Actually, we'll name this YouTube dash pictures. Just as an FYI. And then we'll restart it one more time. Just for okay. So it's restarting it one more time for us. So it saves that. All right, now if we load it, so if we go back into our this and we Control F5 to refresh it. Now if we click on that, we want to scan. Hold on. Control F5 again. Sign out. Sometimes that will happen, so we'll Docker compose down to make sure that it fully goes down, and then re-add it by doing Docker compose up. So we'll do that again. Docker compose up -D. As you can see now, it's creating it again. Okay, it's recreating the PhotoPrism app. And we should see it go back up. All right, now let's try it. And this might take a minute. Once you Docker compose down, it has to reload all the config files. And now it's listening. We can click on this, log back in under this. And now, if we go into library, let's see if it has new ones. So now it has YouTube pictures and all originals. So we'll click, let's just do YouTube pictures. I think all originals is still the same, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check. Yeah, so all originals. Oh, because we have to leave the originals. Hold on. Originals. Now we should. If we save it and let go down one more time, it'll show it. But basically, see it's scanning our pictures, and if we go into search or album search, as you can see, pictures are loading now under here. It has 26, 27, 28 labels. It's got labels. You can see there's pictures in here that are all labeled under different categories. We obviously have folders now. So we have this folder, which is just our YouTube pictures that I use for my thumbnails. Um, you can obviously have people linked to it. So like if I link those albums from my photos, it'll link those. But there's a lot of cool features in here. So if you go into a library, we can obviously edit or select things we want, like preview images, places and times. Under advanced, we have like experimental features. These are all the settings basically that we have, or a majority of the settings in here are the ones we set in the config, or docker compose.yaml. Obviously, we can change these as needed, like we can disable ffmpeg, disable image mic. This will just be in here in a more GUI interface, but it's gonna just go over them in the compose. So once I did doc compose down, doc compose up, as you can see, I have Disney World 2022 now. I can click on scan that and start the scan for that. And once I do that, we'll see the images load up. We can also make directories. So let's say we want to make an album. We can click on add an album, and we can just make it like click the plus, and we can edit the name by calling it, let's just say family memories. And location, we can leave that alone. We'll just put all our family memories. Category, we'll just leave it alone. Click save. We can edit, like I said, oldest first. I would like to do newest first, so it shows the latest ones if I'm sharing it with family. And then once I do that, if I want to, like, let's say I want to share it, we want to do a reverse proxy first, so we can share it outside our home network. So to do that, it's really easy. I already have a tutorial on how to do Caddy. So I obviously run Caddy in Docker now. It's right here. If I want to change that, I just go into we need two things. We need to go into our config. So we will do that now. So let me just see tools, Caddy YouTube. Oh, not that one. We want our Caddy file, which I think is actually in my Caddy folder. Yeah, it's right here. All right. Yep. So here's my Caddy file, and I'm just gonna make a new one. We're gonna call it photoprism.demonwarriortech.com, and I'm gonna blur out all these in here. I'm gonna copy and paste this actually, and then just revise it. PhotoPrism. Make it my website. Save. All right, so you just add the IP and the port, and mine is hosted on Cloudflare, so I'm just gonna make that edit in my Cloudflare panel. Let me log into there real quick. Okay, so once we have our Docker or our Caddy file edited, we can just go to the main root. Because there's no network set up, we can just paste this line in where it says networks, Caddy network, and external truth. This is also my Caddy YouTube video on Docker. Control S. So just as an FYI, you need to make sure on your Caddy file, if you want to run a reverse proxy, that you set the network for your, or I'm sorry, not network, for your compose. My compose, the wrong one. All right. So for our compose, we want to make sure that on the top we set this domain to HTTP and our domain .ourdomain.com. So if you're going to run just a local host in your local directory, you can keep it as localhost, and then colon 22 or 2333. Or if you want to set as a reverse proxy, make sure you have HTTP set, your domain, subdomain, domain, and .com, and then a / at the end. This will allow us to use that as a reverse proxy. We'll reflect it in the admin panel in the app on the web UI itself. Make sure PhotoPrism TLS default is set or disabled is set to false, and the true PhotoPrism default TLS is set to true. Basically, for self-host your own certificates, we set this as true. If you're going to use certificates with PhotoPrism, you would make this true and this false, obviously. So thanks, guys. And then we're going to go and dot compose down and dot compose up again. And now we should see, once we've reflected our Cloudflare CNAME and our caddy to register it, we can restart caddy. Make sure the changes take effect. You should see it load the click restart. We should see it load the new domain that I made called photoprism.demonwarriortech.com. Yeah, it's registering new service, initial configuration, solve challenge, photoprism.demonwarriortech.com. So now if we go releasing the lock on photoprism.demonwarriortech.com, once it releases that, we should see it working. Okay, so now we see that it is working. If I load up my domain, type in photoprism.demonwarriortech.com, it will load my PhotoPrism. And all I have to do to log in is type in my username. Go ahead and find that real quick. And my password, we'll grab that too. And we'll paste it in here and sign in. And as you can see, my photos are loading up. Now if I go into like directories, and let's say I want to share this with someone, I can do one of two things. I can either upload into this directory, so let's say here's Disney World 2024. Let's say I want to watch a video that I see if the hardware transcoding is working, so I'll pull up my task manager, and I will pull up performance. As you can see, my performance right now at 54% because I run other things on my system. I'm just going to put this off to the side, put this off to the side. All right. And if I want to run, let's say, this video.
Oh, there's Pluto, Connor! Woo!
As you can see, it runs just fine. The CPU ramped up to 57, and when I stopped, it went down to it's going down or it's going up still because it's probably still processing. But that's pretty much how it works. There's a lot of cool features also inside of here you can look at. You can separate them by videos, separate them by albums. So if I want to like just only pull up family memories in here, and let's just make the family token family memories, and we click save. Now if we copy this and we paste it, it should load into here. And let's say we do it without an account. Let's try this real quick. Let's log out and paste it again. As you can see, I can still load it. And if we made it with a password, we can do that as well. So I'll show you that in a second. Hold on. Copy and paste this real quick. Let's say I'm doing photos for a reunion or like a family member, or I'm doing it as a business. You can always upload them here and then click after 1 year it expires. You can tell your clients, after 1 year the link expires, and then just save it, and it'll just expire after a year. So if you want to keep it indefinite, you can do 2 months, 1 month, 2 weeks, 7 days, 3 days, whatever it is you're liking. It only goes up to 1 year as a max, but you could do 3 years if you really want to. I guarantee you can talk to the PhotoPrism staff and ask them to add that feature in. Next, we're going to go into upload. So let's say I want to upload a file. As you can see, I uploaded this one in March. But let's say I want to upload specifically to an album. So let's say I have family memories and I want to upload specifically to this album. So we just have to add a tag. So let's say I want to upload specifically to this library. Let's say I want to upload instead of that. Let me just go into albums, and I want to make this one. Let's say just rename it Demon Warrior Tech YouTube. And we'll select a category. We'll just leave all that the same. And now, if let's say we want to go into our uploads, click on upload, and we'll add a upload of our uh, Movies for You logo. Oop, I didn't mean to do that. We'll cancel that. Hold on. I messed that up. Once you upload, obviously it's going to instantly upload. For me, I'm going to redo this in a second. We'll just do it over here. Albums. Alright, so let's say I want to upload. You want to select, since I'm uploading demonwarriortech.youtube, make sure you select that. Select this before you select any files, or else we'll just upload to the standard directory. I'm going to type in logo white. As you can see, now that I did that, here's my logo. And if I check in my file directories now, I should be able to find this in my image, or not my image, my directory of uploads. So we'll go into PhotoPrism. It's going to be in our root directory then. So let's go there. Okay, so just to find this, I did a couple searches. So they're going to be in your, so mine is set for a J drive, and then I go to my PhotoPrism directory, and under Sidecar, we'll see we have our albums, and our 2024, we have our YAML file. So let's see if that shows where our image is. So just as an FYI, if I want to add multiple files to a directory, it's really simple. Let's say I want to add these Disney World photos and videos to an album. So all I have to do is click them, and then you'll have this little tab down here, which will show like the number we have selected. We can obviously click on one of the options, which this would be add archive, add to an album, download, change private tag, edit, or obviously share. So if I want to just add it to a quick album, I just click on this, and I can add it to one of the albums I have, like Family Memories, and click Add to Album. Let's say I want to share those items just directly with someone instead of making an album. Click on that little tab, click on Share, and we can make an account for a web dev and make a share for that. Let's say I want to change to private, we can do that as well as move it to download them directly, whatever we want to do. Basically, now if we go into our directory that is albums, and we go into family memories, as you see, those photos are now in there as of that date. So just quick little maneuvering around the tabs, figuring out how to work it, moving around. This is your private folder, so if you add them to private, you obviously see it in there. We have specific folders we made in here, which should reflect inside our other folder I showed earlier with the where the uploads go. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, yeah, that's basically most of it. So just as an FYI, I think this is a great tool if you're like someone who does photography for a living, or you just want to share easy links to people so they can view the images in a clean cut album facing like front end. So it's less hassle. People don't have to log in. If it's just for family members, whatever, or even just you're selling your photos or your time services for taking photos of weddings or events, this is a great tool you can use. You can also save these. So like for later on, if you want to, let's say, send it to a family member who isn't really tech savvy, doesn't know how to use apps, this is a great way for them to learn how to do it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the description. If you want to buy me a coffee and support the great work I do on YouTube, I'd appreciate that. The link will be in the description. I also have a Discord if you guys ever need extra help or not understanding my videos or have any questions. Feel free to join our Discord. I'm there 24/7, usually always lurking around there. Thanks, guys, for watching. And if you came back, thanks for the new coming back to the channel. And please comment, rate, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your night.